Yo, what is going on, guys? Winner Kills here, and welcome to a brand new and updated deck profile for my Photon Galaxy deck list post Photon Hypernova. I know a lot of you guys have been really looking forward to this, and I appreciate all of your guys' patience. I wanted to take as much time as I possibly could to get the deck into a good starting spot prior to starting One Deck One Month. And for those that don't know, this will be the next deck that we feature on One Deck One Month. It'll be our second time featuring the deck, so it'll be our Act 2, and I think we'll probably have a little bit better results than last time, but you know, who knows. The support we did get in Photon Hypernova is pretty good, and I'll leave it at just that, just pretty good, because it's no Photon Jumper, which is a new card that we'll be getting at some point in the future. It is an OCG card right now. Hopefully it'll come out in a Battles of Legends set sometime over the summer. I think that is our best case scenario, as it will finally give this deck one card combos, which it has lacked, I want to say, ever since Union Carrier was a thing. I think that was maybe the last time the deck had a decent one card combo. But even then, it might not even have had a true one card combo. Maybe it did, actually, but still nothing special. But yeah, this is my list. The last time I played this on stream, I managed to go undefeated with a 5-0 record. Nothing super crazy. I didn't play against Cash or Sprite or Tearlament. Not that it's the best deck, but it's still a pretty challenging matchup. I did play against a wider range of things. If you guys want to see the VOD for that, I'll leave a link to my Twitch down in the description below, as well to the specific VOD if you guys want to watch it and see how those games went. But we do have a One Deck One Month ahead of us, and plenty of Saturday Night Locals POV videos coming with this particular deck over the next month or so. So with all that out of the way, we're going to hop into the profile here, and I do want to mention a quick shout out to Imperium Duelist, because I know people are going to ask. My sleeves on my main and side deck are from Imperium Duelist. They're their Pegasus sleeves. You can get these and much more amazing TCG accessories on their site at the link below, and you can use my discount code WINNERKILLS10 off at checkout to save 10% off your entire order. And if you guys are buying anything on TCG Player, don't forget to use my affiliate link to TCG Player found in the description as well. Anytime you guys click and shop and check out using that link, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go right back in the channel and helps out a ton. And with all that being said, let's hop right into the list. First things first, we will start with our monsters, and we have 3 copies of Galaxy Wizard. This card has definitely come a long way in terms of its playability in this deck over the years that I've been playing it. This card went from being only okay at best to becoming what I think is probably the best starter in the deck at this current point in time. I think Galaxy 100 will probably surpass it when we get Jumper, but for now, Galaxy Wizard is great because it can search out Soldier, it can search out Trance, it can search out the new Galaxy Summoner, it can search out Galaxy 100, which are a lot more prominent cards in this deck right now. And speaking of Galaxy Summoner, you guys know that Wizard is not a once per turn effect to either increase its level or to tribute itself off the board and add a Galaxy card. So not only can we summon this card, tribute off to get a search, but with the help of things like Galaxy 100 and Photon Emperor, we can revive this card with a card like Galaxy Summoner and use its effect again to get another search of any Galaxy card in our entire deck, which is great for extending our plays and giving us follow-up on top of our conservative plays that we typically make with this deck. That's one thing I find is best to do with this deck, is to make a conservative board and use a lot of the searching power that the deck has to give yourself follow-up and hope that your board is going to be robust enough that your opponent can't get through it, especially with all the targeting and destruction protection that it has built in. So next we have 3 copies of Galaxy Soldier. This card is still absolutely a 3 of in my deck. I know some people might not really like this card because it's a level 5 and the deck is a lot more oriented through 4s and 8s, obviously. And as you'll see in the extra deck, I'm not playing Pleiades and I'm not playing the Cyber Dragon package either. But this card's level has now become irrelevant because of things like the Photon Galaxy Dragon in the extra deck, the new secret rare from Photon Hypernova, and because of Galaxy Summoner's other effect, which we can use to make this a level 4, or again with the Ixies, make it a 4 or an 8, and also do some chain blocking. So not only does this card offer great graveyard setup, even better now with Photon Emperor, it is still one of our best and more cost-effective searchers that we have. Moving on, we have 3 copies of basically the heart and soul of this deck. 3 Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragons. It's not the best card to draw. It's not a starter. It's not really an extender, although you could argue it kind of is. I would consider this card more on the lines of like an additional extender bordering a engine requirement, because a lot of cards in this deck require this card to be in some place, whether it be in the deck, in the graveyard, or the hand, or certain cards specifically interact with this card like Blast Dragon and Vanisher and Galaxy 100, etc. So we have our 3 copies of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. Moving on, we have just 2 copies of Galaxy Brave. I like Brave quite a bit. I think 3 might be a bit too much, but Brave is really helpful with the Photon monsters that we were playing. We're playing a little bit of higher count of certain Photon monsters, especially level 4s. And level 4s I feel like are a lot more important in this deck right now than they were in the past because of Galaxy Photon Dragon. Before, the only decent Galaxy Photon rank 4 we had was Starliege Blast Dragon, which was pretty good as an extender and offered some pretty good protection. Galaxy Photon Dragon is just so much better and is basically an extra deck Rhoda for literally anything in our entire deck. And this is a card that allows me to make rank 4s more often, you know, revealing a Vanisher and summoning this, or an Advancer and summoning this, and even just normal summoning the Advancer just to get into the rank 4 play is really nice. And not to mention, it can also be a level 8 as well, and can just become huge at any point with its on-field or on-summon effect. And yeah, just solid extender all around. And it's also a good trance target to bring out sometimes if you want to leave Galaxy Eyes in the deck. Next up, we have 2 copies of Galaxy Summoner. Shout out to Konami for this really weirdly miscut one. But either way, this is a brand new piece of support. If you guys don't know what it does, I will read it for you. It basically says, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 Photon or Galaxy monster in your graveyard except Galaxy Summoner, special summon it in defense position. So, important thing to note here, it says 1 Photon or Galaxy monster, period. So that doesn't have to be any of your main deck monsters. That can be any of your extra deck monsters as well. So you could bring out any of your rank 8s, your rank 4s, etc. And then it says, target 1 of the late monster control. Its level becomes 4 until the end of this turn. My only gripe with this card is I wish that it could make things 4 or 8. Then it would be really amazing, but, you know, if it can become a level 4 too, that's okay, I guess, because it can get us into Blast Dragon, or it can get us into Galaxy Photon Dragon, which is pretty good. And I think, in my honest opinion, that this card has pretty much replaced Galaxy Knight. And it's replaced Galaxy Knight for one main reason, and that's because this card can just be normal summoned at any given point, even if we have nothing on our field, whereas Galaxy Knight had that summoning condition where we already needed to have a Photon or Galaxy monster on board, and we need to have specifically Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon engraved. So I think this card just outclasses Galaxy Knight by a mile, which sucks to see because Galaxy Knight was such an incredible staple in this deck for a long time, whether you played him at 1 or even up to 3. And now we have a replacement in the form of a common. We went from an ultra rare to a common. That's also not super important, but, you know, it's a little annoying if I'm being totally honest after playing Galaxy Knight for so many years. But this card is a lot better than Knight, and yeah, for obvious reasons. You can just tell by reading the effect and comparing the 2 cards. I also play 2 because the second copy in testing was always coming up, something I wanted to search off of number 90, or search off of Follow-Up Wizards or Galaxy Soldiers, just to make better, more explosive plays on turn 3. So that's why I wanted to play a second one. Although I have seen people play 1, and I get why. I just want that second copy in deck so I can make bigger and better pushes on later turns in the game. And then the last Galaxy monster, strictly Galaxy monster in the deck, is 1 copy of Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon. Still an incredible card. This is your OTK button, your in-deck OTK button, and it also can kind of act as an extender. I know in the past we were playing Felgran to be able to use this effect turn 1 to be able to summon out a Galaxy Eyes to make another rank 8, and while you technically can still do that, I don't think it's needed as much anymore with a lot of the cards that we have a little bit more easy access to, like searching out things like Expedition or even Galaxy Trance. We don't have a hard time making a little bit bigger and better boards without, you know, needing something like Felgran as an extra deck extender. So I think 1 copy is just fine, although you could argue like Bestials might hurt this card, but this isn't really a graveyard reliant card most of the time, and I find just 1 is okay. And it does have that summoning requirement of already needing a Galaxy Eyes monster on field, which is a little rough sometimes, and I just don't want to brick on this card as much as possible. So I think 1 is good for now. You could definitely play 2. I've seen some people play 2. I think 1's been working out good for me. Then we have 3 copies of Photon Orbital. Can't wait to get my hands on the CR ones from Maze of Memories. Hopefully they're not too expensive, but they're probably going to be. Yeah, 3 Photon Orbital. incredible searcher, one of the more diverse searchers in the deck, can search Galaxy and Photon monsters. It's also a level 4 that you can use in comparison with the Galaxy Brave. So I really like that. This card has still been very, very strong, and I think will probably continue to be at 3. Then we have 2 copies of Photon Emperor. Now, speaking of Bestials, this is the main reason I think I would play 2. Even though Bestials aren't as prominent as they were in tier format, some people still do play Bestials, especially if you're playing against branded Bestial decks, which is a very popular deck, which is one of the decks I actually played against on my undefeated stream as the last deck that we ended up playing. And we ended up clutching out the win there, and we definitely did get Bestialed quite a few times. And it's just one of the reasons why I think playing 2 of this card is important. If something happens to the first copy, if you send it to the grave and you're trying to revive it, and it gets banished, right, then you lose a little bit of steam. So having access to another copy to either try again later that turn, or to try again on the following turn, right, is nice. And it's also a decent level 8. It's also a really good discard target for Galaxy Soldier, because you can chain block your Galaxy Soldier effect to search a Galaxy monster, with Photon Emperor's effect to revive itself from the graveyard, since there is a Galaxy or Photon monster on the field or in the grave, except itself. So you have the Soldier on board, so that just, you know, sets up everything perfectly. Again, this is a card you could probably play at 1, but I haven't really had any issues with it at 2. If I start like bricking on this card and Bestials decline in popularity a little bit more, or if I'm not playing against that much branded Bestial at locals, I could probably see myself maybe playing this card at 1. It also works really good if you're playing trade-in too. Pretty good trade-in discard, but again, you already need to have something set up in grave or in field to get it out of grave. Yeah, so now we have 2 copies of Photon Vanisher. I was playing 3 for a little bit, but I decided to drop it down to 2. This is just one of those cards I do not want to see multiples of, because this guy cannot be normal summoned, and it really only does one thing, right? And that's just searching Galaxy as Photon Dragon, which is still pretty important, but not that important as, you know, not bricking. So I think 2 copies of this is just good. Then we play 1 copy of Photon Advancer. I like Photon Advancer in here only because now that Galaxy Photon Dragon is a thing, we can search this off of any card and then special summon this while we have the new rank 4 on board, and then make this a level 8. So this is a level 4 that can be searched and summoned to start your combos at any point during your combo, or it can be searched out and summoned to be either level 4 or now a level 8 with the help of the new rank 4. You could also argue that you could search Vanisher to do the same thing, and you get a free card out of it, and you would be right in that aspect, but there are some times where maybe you've already summoned Vanisher, or you don't have a way to get to Vanisher and you already have Advancer. You know, that works out just fine. And it's also more frequent level 4s to help the deck get into the rank 4s more often. And then the last Photon monster I'm playing, 1 copy of Thrasher. I still really like Thrasher quite a bit in here, especially with the more rank 4 heavy focus in the deck. Just free level 4 body, gets you into your Galaxy Photon Dragon, and I think that's just pretty much all it needs to be used for there. Moving on to the spells, we have 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. I was playing Trade-In for a little bit in this deck. I think I was playing 2 copies of it. I did try 3 for a little bit, and I'm just not a huge fan of Trade-In in this deck. It does brick you sometimes, and that's just something I do not want to even risk running into. I would rather risk having an additional zone locked by a Shangra Era, by resolving this card, going a second against Cashier, then potentially dead drawing Trade-In, or Trade-In into Trade-In with no other targets, right? That's some things that happen quite a bit, and I just don't want that potential thing happening. I think Pot of Prosperity just ends up working out a lot better a majority of the time. I found myself comfortably banishing 3, even up to 6, plenty of times, and it's not really been a big issue for me. So I do like Prosperity. I still think it's the best fit for consistency in this deck right now. I said that when I played it the last time on One Deck One Month, and I still really like this card leaps and bounds. Then next up we have 2 copies of Sanctuary. Sanctuary is like kind of in a weird spot for me right now. It's not a starter by any means. It really doesn't like do anything unless you already have other cards readily available, right? Like you have a Photon Vanisher, or you have an Orbital in hand, or you have something in graveyard to already be adding back off your Soul Flare, right? So this card doesn't do a whole lot. I find it's pretty good sometimes as an extender, and sometimes it's okay to search out to be able to get into a Link 2, whether it be Ahashima or Soul Flare, to go for an Xyz play or to recycle things, right? So that's why I only like 2 of this card. I don't think 3's right, and I think 1 is probably a little too little, although you could probably play 1 of this since it is searchable with the rank 4. And there are some cool plays too now with like Galaxy 100, for example, in combination with those 2 cards like 100 and Galaxy Photon Dragon to foolish anything and use this as a way to quickly grab back any card that we've foolished back to our hand. So Photon Sanctuary kind of has that double purpose to it as well. Moving on here, we have some one-ofs, the first being Galaxy Trance. This is a card I've thought about playing 2 copies of for a little while, but I decided to go back down to 1 mainly because this card is a little unfortunate to open sometimes. But the main reason I thought about possibly playing 2 is because there are some times where you'll want to search this card out during your turn to hold as a way to play through Nibiru. And if you do have to use it to play through Nibiru, then you don't have a second copy in deck to be able to use as a really, really strong follow-up play that you're searching off your number 90 or your extra Galaxy Wizard searches that you're getting via Summoner. So, like, it's a very back and forth, you know, conflict in my mind of whether or not I want to play 1 or 2 copies. But right now, I've been playing a little bit more conservatively, using this card a little bit more sparingly, and I think 1 is definitely fine if you play it like that, leaving this card in deck and using it as a way to apply a lot of pressure on your turn 3 and go for the OTK, which this is literally the battle phase deck. It just excels in doing battle phase things with all the things in the extra deck that it has going for it. So saving this for that particular purpose is very, very smart. Then we have 1 copy of Galaxy Expedition. Very, very searchable with the new rank 4. Again, this searches literally any card in the deck. So a lot of the 3-ofs and higher count cards that we were playing in the past, we don't really need to play at such high numbers now. This is definitely one of them. Next up, we have 1 copy of Galaxy 100. This card is a 1-of in my opinion for now, until we get Photon Jumper, because then this card becomes a 1-card combo and a starter card. But for now, its only real utility is dumping Photon Emperor to the grave to be able to use its revival effect to gain an additional normal. It also has some utility to be able to dump cards to the grave to be able to add back with Soul Flare. So it basically can act as a Rhoda if you have an easy way to Soul Flare or if you already have Photon Sanctuary. So that's kind of like a cute play as well. Or you can dump other things that aren't Emperor and revive them with Summoner. But its other effect says if a Galaxy-ized Photon Dragon is special summoned to your field except in the damage step, you can look at your opponent's extra deck then apply one of these effects. Banish a monster from it or special summon 1 number monster from it to your hand. So that's a really, really strong effect. It's basically Kashtira Unicorn, but in Galaxy form and in spell form. And there are ways to at least rip 2 monsters from your opponent's extra deck, once during your turn, and then another during your opponent's turn by either using Starleash Photon Blast Dragon to revive a Galaxy-ized Photon Dragon that's in your grave or banished, or by detaching an Afterglow Dragon from any of your Xyz monsters to then summon another Galaxy-ized and get another extra deck rip. Which is pretty important because a lot of decks right now, because of Kashtira, are opting to play 2 copies of some of their more important extra deck monsters that would normally be 1-ofs. So with those combos in mind, we can easily clear those threats. And the last spell we have is 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army, because why not play more copies of things like Vanisher, Advancer, and Thrasher. And then next up, we have our Hand Trap lineup, which is very, very limited. We just have 3 copies of Ash Blossom, and 3 copies of Impermanence, and 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. I would play Thrust if I could afford the card right now, but I think these 8 cards are pretty good. They're very generic, have a lot of coverall, and a lot of applications in different matchups. So these have been working pretty good for me so far, and I wouldn't change it, honestly, for anything else at this current point. So moving on to our extra deck here, we still have 2 copies of Galaxy-ized Soul Flare Dragon. You definitely need a second copy. It will come up in later parts of the game. 1 Ahashima. I think this card is still really clutch. There are some good plays to be made with this card, especially with Photon Sanctuary. And I didn't want to play a 3rd Soul Flare because this card does give the deck some much needed utility. Then we have the new rank 4, which is basically just Rhoda as an Xyz monster. It says 2 level 4 monsters. Other light monsters you control gain 500 attack, which is really important when you take into account Blast Dragon. It says you can only use each of the following effects of Galaxy Photon Dragon once per turn. You can detach a material from this card to either add a Photon or a Galaxy card from your deck to your hand or send it to the graveyard. And then if a light monster or monster is special summoned to your field except in the damage step, you can target one of those monsters. This level becomes 4 or 8 until the end of the turn. So you can use that to chain block effects like Galaxy Soldier and Vanisher when they hit the field. You can go Chainlink 1 Soldier to search a Galaxy monster, Chainlink 2 Galaxy Photon Dragon, to make it a level 4 or make it a level 8. So that's why, you know, Soldier's level doesn't really matter too much anymore, because with things like Summoner and Galaxy Photon Dragon, we can modify their levels. 1 Star Leash Photon Blast Dragon, because making our whole board immune to targeting and destruction by card effects is really, really important, especially against Cashier this format. Then we have 2 copies of number 90. I will always play 2 copies of this card in this deck. I know this card is very expensive, which is super unfortunate, but I feel like you definitely need to for the grind game. And it's just your main boss monster, right? Negates and destroys monster effects. It can't be destroyed by card effects, and with Blast Dragon, can't be targeted. It's searching you out literally any card in your deck for follow-up next turn. What else could you ask for? Then we have 1 number 38. 1 Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon, 1 Cypher X Dragon. It's like a bigger version of the Blast Dragon, and can allow you to extend turn 1 by detaching Afterglow. Although this card, I would say it could be cuttable. 1 Galaxy Eyes Full Armor, 1 Cypher Blade, 1 62, and 1 C62. This card oftentimes will be enough to go for the OTK, but if something happens to the card, if they like impermit or they zero it with like Quiritus, then you can just surprise them by slapping this card on top of it and still going for game. And some decks outright just can't deal with a monster that is that huge and unaffected by monster effects, like Cashier, for example. So yeah, that is it for majority of the extra deck, and the last card being 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder, because we are playing an Xyz based deck, so why not play Zeus? Now moving into the side deck here, I'll go through it really quickly because this is going to be very much dependent on what you're playing against the most at your locals, so take the side deck with a grain of salt. First 3 cards we have are Nibiru the Primal Being. This card is very, very good against Kashtira, and that's the main reason that it's in here. You could argue it also could be decent against other decks, maybe like Sprite, but mainly for the Cashier deck, we want as much hate for that deck as possible. Same thing can be said with Book of Eclipse. Not only is this good against Cashier, though, it's pretty much good against any build-a-board deck, because this deck does not have a problem with clearing multiple things. C62 can attack 3 monsters. We have Full Armor, we have Cypher Blade. We have tons of removal, so we don't really have to worry about the negative effects of Book of Eclipse. Then we have 2 copies of Twin Twister, because we do have some synergy with discarding cards to the graveyard to set up trances, or things like Photon Emperor, or things to add back off Soul Flare or revive off Summoner. So I like Twin in here a little bit more than Cosmic. Then we have 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, just, you know, cover all back row removal. And then we have 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Very strong going second card of this format. Just really, really good. Not much has changed. Evenly is still Evenly, thankfully. And then last but not least, we have 3 copies of Gozen Match. We are playing an all-light deck, so it's kind of a no-brainer. This card ends up being pretty good against a lot of decks. Sword Soul is gaining a lot of popularity, so Gozen Match just goes in against that deck. Although I've thought about changing this out with things like D-Barrier, because the branded Despia deck and Cashier decks are very, very hurt by things like D-Barrier. Although you could argue Gozen Match hurts the Cashier deck quite a bit, whereas it doesn't hurt the branded deck. So I'm not really entirely sure where I want to go with the side. I might change some things to maybe try to fit both Gozen and D-Barrier in. But right now, I think Gozen Match is just fine, but I wouldn't blame you for playing D-Barrier instead, since calling Xyz against those other decks I mentioned are pretty important. So that is it for the profile. Now we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck up and run through maybe 2 or 3 quick test hands. All right, so just finishing up shuffling the deck here a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and draw into our first test hand of the video. I'm going to pull the mat up just a little bit and see what we can pull off. So we open up Summoner, Soldier, Emperor, Afterglow, and Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So yeah, quite a few names there. No hand traps, no going second cards, no consistency cards, just straight up engine for this hand, which will work pretty good for going first. If we were going second, we do see a copy of Triple Tactics Talent, so I mean, I guess that's pretty good for going into a board. So yeah, there are a few ways we could start this hand. Well, I guess there's really only one way, which would be to start by activating Galaxy Soldier and discarding the Emperor. I think that is probably going to be the best bet. So we will start with that. We'll discard the Emperor, and I'll fix my placements of stuff over here. So we have Soldier. We'll go Chainlink 1 Soldier to search a Galaxy card, Chainlink 2 Emperor to go ahead and revive itself, and now grant us an additional normal summon. And Galaxy Soldier is going to go ahead and grab us a Galaxy Wizard. since we pretty much have every other Galaxy monster that we would want in our hand. We already have Summoner, we already have Afterglow, which is a one of, but we'll still take it, right? So now we have 2 normal summons available to us. We can use our regular normal summon on Wizard, and we can go ahead and use Wizard's effect, tributing itself off to go ahead and search a Galaxy card. Now, we are only on our 3rd summon, so we could grab Galaxy Trance here if we want to play it like super safe. And I think that might be what I actually do. Now, other options would be to grab 100, but we could probably search that somewhere else. Yeah, because we're going to get another search off of Wizard. So I am going to grab Galaxy Trance here just to give us a little bit of an insurance policy against things like Nibiru. And also, like, this is one of the nice things about playing multiple Summoner is you kind of increase your chances of seeing, like, these 2 cards in your opening hand a little bit more often. Because, like, sometimes the times you don't have to, like, search this card and you already have it in your hand, it just saves you a search to get other things like Trance, which is nice. So now we'll use our additional normal summon on Summoner, activating its effect, targeting the Galaxy Wizard. And this is where our opponent would promptly chain a Bestial, and good for them if they have it. But let's just say they don't have it at this current point. And let's be honest, they did have a Bestial, they're probably using it on the Emperor anyways. So we'll bring back the Wizard, and we'll use Wizard's effect to search again. And here we're going to go ahead and grab a copy of the Galaxy 100. If we can find that. And we'll go ahead and rip a card out of our opponent's extra deck here. At least we'll try to. So we get our free search there. So Wizard has just netted us basically 2 free cards. Now we're going to use Summoner to target Galaxy Soldier to make him a level 4. So the fact, again, that he is a level 5 does not matter in the slightest. So we're going to go ahead and overlay for a Galaxy Photon Dragon. And if they hit us with a Nibiru here, look at what we still have. We still have Afterglow. We still have a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon in hand. We still have Trance. We still have 100. We're still really set to be able to make some plays. Now we're going to go ahead and detach the Galaxy Soldier here. And we're going to either add or send a Galaxy or Photon card. We could really get anything here, honestly. We could grab Vanisher to summon it and chain block its effect to search with the Galaxy Photon Dragon. And we can make it a level 8 in the process, make number 90. All right, so after a little bit of thought, we're going to use the Galaxy Photon Dragon to search out Expedition from the deck. And now we're going to go ahead and activate 100 and then use its effect to send a Photon or Galaxy card from the deck to the graveyard. We could send really whatever we want right now. Doesn't really make too big of a difference. Whatever we send here could also potentially be grabbed back off of the Soul Flare Dragon that we are going to make eventually to be able to use as follow-up, essentially. So we could dump Orbital, we could dump another Galaxy Eyes, we could dump a Photon Sanctuary, right? There are a lot of things that we could potentially send here. And this is one of the trickier parts about playing the deck, is when you have so many options available to you, it's easy to, I feel like, make a mistake. So what I think I'm going to do is send probably just a Photon Sanctuary. We'll go ahead and send that one to the grave. And then we're going to activate our Expedition. We'll summon a level 5 or higher Photon or Galaxy since we control one. And we're going to summon Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. That is going to proc Galaxy Hunter to now banish a card from our opponent's extra deck while we get to look at it. And if they have a number monster, we could summon it. Although, in all my time of using this card, I have not summoned a monster from our opponent's extra deck to our field yet, because there really hasn't been anything that we could summon, either because we were locked into lights, or we were locked into summoning only Photon or Galaxy, so we can't really summon anything, or it just really didn't make sense to summon anything, because any of the monsters we would be summoning need materials to be able to detach to use their effects. But so yeah, we're going to go ahead and bring that out. We'll just banish an important card out of their extra deck, like a Zeus or something. And then we're going to use Afterglow in hand. And we're going to go ahead and overlay the Afterglow and the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon into a copy of number 90. And now when we negate a monster effect on their turn, we can detach the Afterglow, summon a Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and rip another card from their extra deck. But we're not done yet. We're going to go ahead and link off the Galaxy Photon Dragon and the Photon Emperor into Galaxy Eyes Soul Flare Dragon, where we can add back pretty much any monster. I'm not sure why I sent the Sanctuary, because this only adds back monsters. I keep forgetting that, so my apologies. This could have been like Orbital or something. So keep that in mind. It's probably should have just been Orbital or Vanisher, or maybe another Galaxy Eyes. Doesn't make too big of a difference, but You can recycle pretty much whatever you want here. Sometimes I like recycling the Galaxy Photon Dragon because this is a really good card to be able to search a second time, and we wish we had like maybe room to play a second, which I guess we technically do. But I'm probably going to go ahead and add back the Summoner here just as a good follow-up normal summon, because now we have Trance and Summoner as follow-up for next turn. We have a negate here, we ripped a card out of their extra deck, and we have a pop of a special summon monster by discarding the Galaxy Eyes, and we can rip another monster out of their extra deck next turn. It's not the greatest end board, but you know, it's a decent amount of interruptions, and we have plenty of follow-up, which is what matters most. If we, you know, commit the Trance to the field, go for a number 38, and our board gets cracked, we really just have one play, especially if they hit us with a Dark Ruler or they Lava Golem us, which has been happening a lot lately. Some people main decking Lava Golem, especially online on ladder. So sometimes I wouldn't blame you for prematurely using the number 90 effect to search, like in the standby phase, to play around cards like Dark Ruler or Lava Golem, or even things like Super Polymerization, depending on what deck you're playing against. So don't always want to wait to the last minute to use number 90 effect. Sometimes you might want to use it early while you still have the chance to do so. So yeah, that is it for the first test hand, number 90 plus Soul Flare, but we have plenty of follow-up in hand, which is really, really important for a deck like this, which tends to lack follow-up on a big level. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle the deck up one more time and do another test hand or two. All right, so the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw into our second test hand, where we have a copy of Soldier, Photon Sanctuary, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and Galaxy Summoner. So this is looking like a pretty decent hand. So what I am going to do is go ahead and activate the Soldier, discarding Galaxy Eyes, and unfortunately we don't have the Chain Block option here, so we'll just go ahead and use Soldier effect to search a Galaxy monster. Now, if this gets ashed, it's really not the end of the world. We can just normal summon the Galaxy Summoner, revive the Photon Dragon, make Soldier level 4, and keep playing from there. But assuming it does not get hit with an Ash Blossom, we can go ahead and grab Wizard here. I like going for the Wizard play quite a bit, because we can get an additional search and still make our rank 4. So we'll normal summon the Wizard, activate its effect. And this is a little risky though, only because if they imperm the Wizard on summon, that can be potentially pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, it definitely can be pretty bad, because there our only play would be to possibly make... Well, I guess if they imperm this, right, which is again pretty worst case scenario, we could commit Sanctuary to the board, summon the 2 tokens, link off the token in the Wizard for Ahashima, bring out Wizard and Summoner from hand, and still go for the Galaxy Photon Dragon, actually still have a play. So we're actually still okay, even if we commit this play here, which is good to know. So we'll normal summon this, activate the effect. And even if, yeah, same thing could be said here, even if they ash the Wizard, which is still a pretty solid play, we still have Sanctuary to be able to go to Ahashima and continue to play through. So yeah, this is why this card, it works out great here, but there are some hands where this card just kind of sits awkwardly in your hand and doesn't really do a whole lot. So yeah. Moving on though, we're going to go ahead and search our Galaxy 100. And this is also one reason why I play one copy, this because like anytime you need this, you're just going to search it out. You're not going to want to like usually open with this card, because again, it's so easily searchable for the time being. And we'll activate the 100, we'll use its effect to go ahead and send, and we'll dump the Emperor, activate Emperor reviving itself. And then from here, we can go ahead and use our additional Realm of a Light monster on Summoner to go ahead and bring back the Wizard. And if we get hit here with Nibiru, it will hurt quite a bit, I'm not going to lie. Our only play then would be able to use the Sanctuary to bring back the Soul Flare to our hand, and that would pretty much be our play. Yeah, I mean, we could link off with the Nibiru token that we get and keep one of the Photon tokens, I guess. That's something we technically could do. There's some hands, though, where you can play around Nibiru, and there's some hands where you just can't. Not every hand is going to be able to beat Nibiru, which is unfortunate. But now we're going to go ahead and use Wizard to go ahead and search here. And we can search for Galaxy Trance just for follow-up. And if we haven't gotten Nibiru yet at this point, because we've summoned Soldier, we brought back Emperor, that was 2 summons. Wizard was 3, Summoner was 4, Wizard back, that was the 5th summon, yeah. So if they haven't hit us with Nibiru yet, we have our follow-up secured. Now we're going to use Summoner to target the soldier to make it a level 4. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing we did last time. We're going to go ahead and use the Galaxy Photon Dragon detaching to search here. And what exactly do I want to get now? That is the question. We don't have... I mean, I guess we could grab Brave. We could grab Vanisher. I kind of like the idea of possibly going for a Vanisher line here. I'm trying to think maybe if there'd be a better line to go for an Advancer. Okay, after a little bit of thought, I think we're definitely going to go for the Vanisher route here, and you'll see why in just a moment. So we'll special summon Vanisher. We'll go Chainlink 1 Vanisher, Chainlink 2 Photon Dragon. We're going to make Vanisher a level 8, and Vanisher will do what he does and add the GEPD to our hand. And now from here, what we can do is link these two off into a copy of the Bujinki Ahashima. And we'll summon this over here, and then we'll activate its effect on summon. We'll bring out both of these as level 8s, and then we'll go ahead and Ixie summon into our number 90. You could summon this here in the zone that it points to if you want to, you know, have an additional spell trap pop, depending on what deck you're playing against. And now we can use the Galaxy 100 since Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon was special summoned, and we can take a look at their extra deck and banish or summon something. So there's that. And we still have our Sanctuary, which can use to summon 2 tokens to the field, link both of those off into Soul Flare, and activate the Soul Flare to go ahead and add back the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So we have an interruption there. So we have a pop, we do have a monster negate, and we've ripped a card out of their extra deck, and we have an Ash Blossom in hand. And we have the Galaxy Trance as follow-up. So pretty decent. We could have maybe done that in a different order too. We could have like linked off into Soul Flare to add something back instead. And then use the Sanctuary to go for the Ahashima and possibly make a... Yeah, let me go back and rewind here, because we definitely could have played that out slightly different, and I do want to showcase that there. So this would have been in our hand, this would have been on our field, this is still in our hand. So we summon this, right? We make this level 8, we search the Photon Dragon. Yeah, so I had to think about this for a little bit, but there is definitely an alternate line here. It's a little tricky, but we're going to go ahead and link off the Galaxy Photon Dragon and the Vanisher into a copy of Soul Flare, and Soul Flare is going to add back the Summoner. And now we're going to commit the Photon Sanctuary. We'll summon the 2 tokens to the field, link them both off. They are the same level. So we can go for the Ahashima play. And then Ahashima is going to bring out Summoner from hand and the Wizard from the grave. And we want to make sure we added the Summoner back and not the Vanisher, because Vanisher can only be special summoned 1 time per turn. And then we're going to overlay both of those and Ixies into the Starleash Photon Blast Dragon. That'll proc its effect to bring out the Photon Dragon. And then we can use 100 to go ahead and rip a card from their extra deck. And then the last thing we can do is go ahead and overlay into number 90. And this will make sure that on our opponent's next turn we can detach to negate and destroy a monster that activates its effect. And then we can use the Blast Dragon to detach the Wizard, bring back the Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon, and rip another card from their extra deck, while we still have Trance and Ash Blossom in our hand. I think that was definitely a little bit better way to do that. Had to think it through, though, first. There are definitely a lot of lines to do this deck. I think this deck is probably as difficult to play as it's ever been, which I guess is a good thing, because we have more cards available to us at any given point. But yeah, so that's it for that test hand. Let's go ahead and shuffle up and do one more. Although, really quick before we do hop into the next test hand, I did do a run through of that hand again, and there is a line that allows you to play through Nibiru, so we'll go ahead and show that real quick. Alright, the deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw into our last test hand. I apologize if this video has been going on for a long time. I will leave timestamps to make the video a little bit easier to digest. So yeah, opening hand here, we have Rhoda, Pot of Prosperity, Summoner, Vanisher, and Sanctuary. Pretty solid opening hand here. We're going to go ahead and lead with the Rhoda. and Rhoda is going to go ahead and search us a copy of Photon Thrasher. I always love opening hands that start with rank 4 lines. Very, very fun. So first, I mean, yeah. Okay, I was going to say first we could Prosperity here, but we could technically deck then first. We'll summon the Thrasher, and then we'll summon the Vanisher. Activate Vanisher effect, and Vanisher is going to go ahead and search out the GEPD. And we will use the Prosperity here before we go any further. I mean, Prosperity is an interesting card because we could technically hold this card until after we get interrupted. We could use it at the end of our play to grab additional cards on top of the board we already make. Or we could use it right now to try to find extenders, right? There's plenty of things that we could do. Because right now we could go for the Galaxy Photon Dragon line and very early search out the Galaxy Trans as kind of a plan B for getting hit with Nibiru. But I'm trying to think if we go for that, what our next play is going to be. Because we don't want to use the Trans turn 1. I always try not to use Trans right away. Unless you're playing 2 copies, then I guess you can. But yeah, I mean, that's at the cost of drawing that card more often, which maybe isn't so bad, but still plenty of testing to do with this deck, even though I think it's in a pretty okay spot for now. But yeah, right now, let's go ahead and use the Pot of Prosperity. And I'll go ahead and show you guys typically what I would banish. So we're going first. I'm going to go ahead and banish the Zeus. I do typically tend to banish the Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon. And I do typically banish Galaxy Eye's Full Armor Photon Dragon as well, since we typically won't need these 3 cards going first. You could also leave the Cypher Dragon if you want, but it's a pretty non-essential part of the extra deck. So we'll take a look at the top 3, where we find Ash, Orbital, and a copy of Galaxy Summoner. We already have Summoner, so we're obviously not going to take the Summoner, so that can easily go back to the bottom of the deck. We don't have any hand traps as it stands, so we could take that. But taking Orbital here also is kind of nice because that can get us to a lot of other extenders that we don't really have access to at this current point in time. Which I guess the rank 4 could as well, but this will make our hand a little bit more robust to interruption. So I think I am going to take the Orbital. If we had maybe another extender in hand, I'd probably take in the Ash. So we're going to go ahead and overlay into Galaxy Photon Dragon. We'll activate its effect. I'm going to detach the Thrasher here because Vanisher doesn't do anything in Graveyard right now because of its only being able to be Specialman once per turn clause. We'll take the Trance. So now we have that little bit of a protection from Nibiru. And we could normal summon right now with the Summoner, bring back the Thrasher, and go for, per se, like Blast Dragon. That is potentially a play. Or we could bring this back, use this to make it a level 8, and then search out. We could go for like a Brave, make that a level 8 with the Photon Dragon that we have in hand. That's definitely a play that we could do. So I think that's probably what I'm gonna do. So we're gonna normal summon the Summoner here. We're gonna summon Summoner. We're gonna bring out Thrasher. And we're gonna use Photon Dragon to go ahead and make this a level 8. Now we're gonna equip Orbital to anything. It really doesn't make too big of a difference. We're gonna activate Orbital here, and Orbital is gonna go ahead and grab us a copy of Brave. And I want to grab Brave here because I want to get a level 8 extender on board. Advancer is an extender right now, but it's not going to be level 8 because we've already used Galaxy Photon Dragon's effect to modify levels. So we'll use Brave, reveal the Galaxy Eyes, summon this to the field, overlay both Thrasher and Brave into our one and only boss monster, number 90. And then here, trying to think what their next best play would be. We can link off both the Galaxy Photon Dragon and the Summoner into Galaxy Eye's Photon Dragon. And then we can use Galaxy Eye's Photon Dragon effect to add back the Orbital. So at this point, there's a couple things we could do. If we realize our opponent doesn't have Nibiru and they've already let us establish a number 90, what we could do is actually fire off the Trance, right? And make a play that way. That's definitely something we can do. But if we are going to go that route, I would probably add back the Vanisher. I would add back the Summoner and leave the Orbital engraved so we have a summonable level 4 Photon. So we could go ahead and Trance, bring out the Orbital, and we could just bring out a Wizard. And then we could go ahead and overlay these into Blast Dragon, right? And then Blast Dragon could potentially bring out the Galaxy Eyes in our hand if we wanted to. But we don't really need to do that. I think I'd probably just leave it as is. So we have a board that pretty much can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects right now because of the Blast Dragon. And we have follow-up. So not great by any means, but I think it's definitely a pretty decent end board. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about this deck down in the comment section below. I know there are bigger and better boards that this deck could make, where we make multiple rank 8s like number 38, Soul Flare, etc., etc. But I find it's always best with this deck to make more conservative plays than going for the more extravagant ones, is because those ones are going to get punished a lot more and going to be much harder for you to recover from, which is very, very important. There's been plenty of times where I've gone all out for those types of plays. My board has gotten cracked or I got interrupted, and then you're literally just top decking like that out of nowhere. And you lose the game very, very quickly. So that is going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys are looking forward to the One Deck, 1 Month series coming up very soon. And as always, Winter Kills signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And like always, a big thank you goes to our current Divine level channel members who are HCH Cyber, Pony Stark, Cadillacs 84, and Misfit. Thank you guys so much as always for extremely kind and very generous support of this channel.